Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Fearless Generations with Terry Sayer and Kelly Fox.
Hello and welcome to Fearless Generations, 12 Steps to Freedom. This is Kelly Fox, and we are excited to be here with you tonight. We're continuing the discussion on Step 10, which is trust. Tonight we're going to be talking about letting go of control. That is definitely something that has been up in my face lately, so I am sure that this conversation is going to be great. Let me introduce my beautiful co-host, Terry Sayer. How are you doing today, Terry?
I am doing great. I am staying inside my nice air-conditioned house and going out as little as I have to.
Yeah, I have luckily and most excitedly have been at the coast for the last 2 days, and it is 45 degrees different than where I live. So it has been nice. I have been wearing a sweatshirt the last 2 days and loving it. And but I am on my way home now, and so I will be back to the heat.
Well, I know.
Our guest coach tonight has it even worse than we do. So let's welcome the wonderful, marvelous Stephiane Lureus.
Absolutely.
It is so good to be here with you ladies this evening. And yes, it is quite a bit hotter here than there. So I am definitely staying. And if I'm saying it's hot, you know it's hot.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And we appreciate you being up late with us. We know that you bring such value to our listeners, and so we love that you're willing to stay up and be on the show.
It is my privilege and honor to always be here with you ladies. And, you know, staying up late is worth it to share in the wonderful message that you bring.
Oh, thank you. All right, so Stephiane, start us off with, what does trust mean to you?
What does trust mean to me? Well, you know, this is one of those touchy subjects for me through the years in looking at trust. And, you know, is it something that we can just take at face value, or is it something that is earned? And for me, being kind of a skeptical and analytical person, you know, it's something that I'm always kind of looking for that information and seeing what I can control in a situation, which is not as possible as we like to think.
Did Kelly get off lost?
No, I'm here. I can't hear anymore. So I lost.
Oh.
I couldn't hear the last bit of what Stephiane said.
Oh, it was like all of a sudden it was silent.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you hearing everything now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, but you still can't hear Stephiane? Well, it's like the silence. The silence is killing me. So I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I totally get what Stephanie's saying about trusting others, and my struggle has always been trusting myself, and that's we always start with ourselves. And so can we trust ourselves, and how can we build that trust in ourselves? And I was having a conversation with a friend today about that. She's recently discovered her key to freedom is trusting herself. And she's like, okay, yeah, you're telling me to trust myself, but how? How do I trust myself? And so, you know, we sat there and I broke it down, and I hope I gave her some help on how I have started practicing trusting myself, and how it's a continual practice of trusting myself. And right now, with you know, our living situation is kind of up in the air, and we don't know where we're going to be necessarily by the end of this year. And so that has taken a lot of trust in you know, in my higher power, which is God for me. You know, a trust in the process, trust, you know that everything is going to work out, and you know, the best opportunity is going to present itself, and you know, all will be well. And that is not easy. I kind of lost it last week and had a day where I was moping around and even cried a bit, just feeling like, you know, my life is completely out of my control. But it's not. And so, yeah, is Stephanie back? Can we hear her now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I do hear you.
Okay, yeah. I didn't go anywhere. I've been talking.
Oh, no. We couldn't hear you. I'm sure what you said was amazing. So try to remember what it was. And now go.
Well, you know, Kelly, just like you were talking about with, you know, that idea of letting go of control, I think so often in many areas of life we get this idea that we can control things, that you know, if we just push a little bit harder, or you know, tighten up all these things, that we can control a situation, and we can sometimes give the illusion that, you know, we have this grand control over the outcome, over what's happening. But, you know, that's just not the way that the universe works.
Right.
Yeah, I think that really brings up, for me, maybe one of the deepest levels of trust for me is trusting that whatever opportunity, challenge, whatever you want to call it, that comes to me is eventually for my good, you know, for my better good. And that's just truly trusting my journey, and trusting that God is, you know, God has my back at all times, and that whatever happens, not that it happens for that God makes it happen, but that whatever happens, whatever situations I get in, I will see that those situations taught me something, helped me to have more empathy, gave me a better understanding of my commitments, the covenants that I've made, you know, whatever the eventual outcome of having that experience, which did I know what it was going to be? No, but what that eventual outcome has become is for my good. It makes me more able to serve. It makes me more able to understand. It gives me that opportunity to take that experience and help others as they go through those experiences, and that there is light on the other side, and there is something to learn, and there is growth in the challenges that we face. Yeah, I think that to me, that's the ultimate trust to me.
Yeah, I think that's where our control does lie. When we're in those situations, we can control how we react to them. We can control, you know, our attitude towards them. You know, we're going to learn, or we're going to grow, or we're going to progress because of this challenge. And because not everybody chooses that, right? Not everybody chooses to learn and grow and progress from their challenges. Some people choose to be stuck and frozen and degress in their fear. And so one place where our control does lie is that we can trust ourselves, or we can trust our journey, or we can trust our higher power and progress and grow and become stronger because of our challenges.
Mhm. Yeah. I would agree.
Stephanie?
You know, listening to the both of you, it really brings up an affirmation that I am leaning on right now, that everything I need is always provided. And, you know, I think that it's under my control. It's under my ability to make those things happen, to bring those things to fruition. But it's taking that step back and finding that trust in something bigger than myself. You know, for me, it is God. You know, finding that trust in God where, you know, I don't have to see the way. I don't have to understand how, you know, those needs are going to be met, how I get to that end point. But I do need to do the footwork along the way. And it's a fine line between is what I'm doing getting me to that end point, or am I trusting, am I following in where I'm being led?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, sorry, I lost my train of thought. You guys talk.
You lost your train of thought. Yeah, I think, you know, trusting our higher power, trusting the process, trusting ourselves, trusting others. I mean, there's so many layers to trust. And I'm not sure whether it's which one comes first or which one, you know, that there's a particular order. I think for me, it's trusting God, and then because I trust God, I can trust myself and others in the process. Because to me, this is just a part of my existence. You know, this is my earthly existence, and the choices that I make here will impact my eternity. I mean, that's my belief system. You know, other people have others, and that's fine. But for me, this part, this earth life that I'm in right now, the choices I make, whom I trust, what processes I trust, my capacity to trust my own decision making and my own choices based upon my faith, my covenants, you know, my values. If I can stay aligned with that, then I trust that I can handle anything, you know, because this is just a part of my existence. And the way that I live this will determine, you know, my eternal life is the way I look at it. So it's different for people who have maybe different belief systems, but for me, that's what allows me to trust making choices by aligning them with my values and my belief system.
Yeah, this actually came up in the conversation with my friend that I was talking about earlier, where she was like, she said something about, I think somewhere in the conversation, faith came up, and she's like, you know, she knows that I'm a religious person, and that I have, you know, I put my faith in God, and she was asking me about that, and I said, really, that was how I first realized, oh, there is one area in my life where I can trust myself, and that's how it all began. Me being able to see, oh, I can trust my relationship with God. I can trust in what I know and what I've been in Him, and His love for me and His plan for me. I trust that. I've never really wavered from that knowledge, and so that's how I started, seeing that I can trust myself. There's one area in my life where I completely trust, and so how can I now do that in other areas of my life?
Yeah.
You know, Kelly, as you talk about, you know, that connection between faith and trust, you know, I'd be curious to know a little bit more about, you know, how you develop that trust, because as you were talking, you know, I am a person that sees things in hindsight. I learn my lessons in, you know, after the fact. And so to be able to find that trust, where exactly did it come from for you?
I think, I mean, as a child, I think it was just like a blind faith. You know, I grew up, you know, out of church and with a type of values and religion and belief, and I never really questioned it. As I got older, I saw it as kind of that safe place where I was protected, because I saw as people outside of me, you know, people outside of me, of course, there's nobody inside me but me, but people around me that were making choices contrary to the values that I had been taught were having such harder lives. And I didn't want that. And so I kind of clung to the values so that I wouldn't have those challenges that they were having. And then when it became time, I was a missionary for my church, and you know, when it came time for me to make that decision, you know, I talked to a lot of people, you know, is this really the right thing for me? And just got a really strong feeling inside of me that, yes, this is what I was supposed to do. But when I was telling you about that realization that I had, that was when I was in my late 20s. So it was a quite a long time past that, you know, all of these things that I've just been talking about. So I would say it took me a while to notice, oh, hey, I trust myself here, because fear tries to keep me from seeing where I trust myself, because trusting myself is my key to freedom. So if I don't see that, if I don't recognize that, if I don't acknowledge that, then you know, I don't have as much, you know, faith or trust in myself to be able to do, you know, to do it, right? Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
You did. Thank you. You know, for me, I always find it fascinating where people find that trust in their lives, whatever that looks like. And you know, because I think we all have lessons to glean from those stories. I mean, you talk about, you know, I had this blind faith, and then it was later on that I had this like shaking, revelation. And, you know, I think that comes back to that place of control where we think we've got it figured out. We think we're going along just fine, and all of a sudden we're like, I never thought of it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes just lessons are learned that way, you know? Like when we're kids and we just want people to like us, and then we learn when we're older we want actually nice friends that treat us kind and not just friends. You know what I mean? Like it takes us a while to get to that point where we seek, you know, quality over quantity, or you know, where we don't care so much about what other people think. Like some lessons are just learned with time. And you know, regardless of, you know, like with my kids, regardless of what I share with them and teach them so that they, you know, they don't have to wait until they're older to get these things. You know, it's going to take as long as it's going to take for them to learn these lessons. There's no skipping for anyone. So I think that's just how life is, you know, precept upon precept. We learn things in a certain pace, and we all go at a different pace. We all have our own journey. That's one thing that was something that I had to let go of control, that I couldn't control other people's journeys. You know, as a mom, as a wife, that was a tough one. What? You get to make your own choices? Who said that? You know, trusting that everybody has their own journey was something that I had to, well, I chose to let go of, and sometimes on a daily basis I choose to let go of. Did I lose you?
I love that.
Okay.
How you talked about, you know, everybody has their own journey and their own choices to make, and even that takes that level of giving up control in that, you know, somebody else is a completely independent being. You know, I don't have the ability. I can influence them. I can be a role model for them. But at the end of the day, I can't make their choices for them. I can't control what their outcome is.
Mhm. Yeah. And one thing that supports me with that is God loves them even more than I do, which is hard for me to even understand how much he loves us, right? So he wants their good as well. So I can trust that he has them just as much as he has me, and that he wants them to have a happy, successful life as well. And so I love them where they are. I encourage them. I, you know, support them as much as I can, but ultimately their life is their own, and, you know, their choices are going to make up what it is. And that's where I trust, right, so that I can let go.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about one of the steps in the 12 steps called surrender. And I think, you know, trusting our higher power, trusting God is surrendering our will to his, which is the one thing that we have that he gave us, our free will. And it's like surrendering it back to him is the ultimate trust in God, you know. And I think trusting, for me, I think maybe the hardest thing for me, or not the hardest, but the challenge for me often is to trust others. And I think that's because you have experiences where I think people have called me a little bit naive. I've been called that in my life at times. Trusting, you know, just being very trusting of people and learning that you can't always trust people. And sometimes they're just not trustworthy, and sometimes you get hurt because of that. And I think I go into situations, you know, seeing people's innocence and giving them the benefit of the doubt, and so maybe I've pulled back some of my trust of others and been a little bit more observant and maybe a little bit less open until I feel like I can trust them, you know, because sometimes you trust somebody and they just turn out to have ulterior motives, or they want something from you rather than to support you, you know. So I think in my life, trusting myself has not been that difficult to do, because I have this really strong trust in God and in the process of life, because I've lived for 79 years. So I've really I have a lot of experiences to relate to in terms of the process of life and how things do turn out to be for my good, even when at the time I thought it was, my life was over. And so I think now maybe I'm a little bit hesitant in trusting others. And I don't know that that's always the best way to build relationships, but there's always a challenge and something to work on in your life. But I think I really tend to be much more observant and listen and attentive before I'm going to trust somebody with a deep friendship. I can be your acquaintance, I can be a surface level friend, but in terms of really sharing intimacy with a friend, about your life and about your dreams, and I think I'm a little bit more hesitant maybe than I was when I was younger.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for being on the show. We are basically out of time. We definitely want to give you the opportunity to share with the listeners, once again, what it is you get to do, who it is you work with, and if there's anything else that you want to share with them, contact information, all that good stuff.
Well, thank you. It's always a great honor to be here. And for those that haven't heard me here before, I am Stephiane Lureus. I'm the owner of Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness. It's a paramedical wellness practice that specializes in orthopedic fitness, non-diet nutrition, diabetes management, autoimmune and chronic conditions as well. And, I get the beautiful privilege to serve people right where they're at, that wherever they start, whatever it is that they want to achieve, we can find that roadmap. And it's an individual process because we're all different and we all have different needs, different barriers, and it's something that is the greatest gift to me, to be able to give that to someone else, that freedom of they don't have to control what's going on, that they can truly take steps to get where they want to be free. And that's what I do. That's what I love to serve people with. You can find me on all the social media networks at some iteration of Heart and Soul Fitness and Wellness, or right on my website, Heart and Soul Fit, and soul is spelled SOLE, so heartandsoulfit.com.
Awesome. Love it. Yes, and Stephanie has been my coach, and I can definitely raise my hand and say she is amazing. So if you are on a health journey of any kind, she can definitely support you with that. She is the one-stop shop. She's got it all. So thank you again for being on here with us. Love having you on. Love you. And super excited that we were able to have you on tonight.
Thank you, as always.
Yeah. Now, well, we want to remind you all that the 12 Steps to Freedom were created by Rhonda Britton, the CEO and founder of the Fearless Living Institute. If you would like to know more about Fearless Living, please go check it out at fearlessliving.org. You can also find everything out about Terry and I at fearlessgenerations.org, like our monthly membership, which is super fun. We get to meet together twice a month and talk about tools and laser coach and mastermind and all kinds of great stuff as a group. We also have our retreat coming up in September 5th through the 8th in the beautiful foothills of the Sierras here in California. And that is amazing. Go check it out there, as well as our free monthly workshop that we do on the 4th Saturday of every month. Go check out all of that there, as well as more and more and more. So, Terry, thank you again for being here with me tonight and doing this podcast with me. It's crazy to think that we are almost about to finish our 10th season, and I'm truly blessed to be able to do all of this with you.
Yep, I would agree. And thank you, Stephanie, so much. It's wonderful to have you with us, even if just for a half an hour.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you both. Thank you all the listeners out there. And until next time, everybody, be fearless.
Be fearless. Good night.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.